Good evening, everybody. Welcome to our regular council meeting, the last one before the summer break for June 27th, 2023. Si je peux avoir quelqu'un pour proposer l'ouverture de la séance, s'il vous plaît?
Oui, Monsieur le maire, je propose d'ouvrir la séance.
Merci, la conseillère Torres. Je peux avoir l'appui, s'il vous plaît?
Oui, je l'appuie.
Merci, la conseillère Yulin. Tout en faveur, s'il vous plaît.
Oui.
Oui.
Merci. L'adoption de l'ordre du jour.
Oui, Monsieur le maire, je propose de rappeler l'ordre du jour de la séance ordinaire du mardi 27 juin 2023, tel que présenté.
Merci, la conseillère Yulin. Je peux avoir l'appui, s'il vous plaît?
Oui, je l'appuie, Monsieur le maire.
Merci, la conseillère Small Pennefather. Tout en faveur, s'il vous plaît.
Oui.
Merci. Approbation du procès verbaux.
Oui, je propose d'approuver le procès verbal des séances du conseil tenues aux dates suivantes. Séance ordinaire du 29 mai 2023, séance spéciale du 8 juin 2023.
Merci, la conseillère Small Pennefather. Je peux avoir l'appui, s'il vous plaît?
Oui, je l'appuie.
Merci, la conseillère Fini. Tout en faveur, s'il vous plaît.
Oui.
Merci. We're going right to the reports now. The first report is the mayor's report on the financial position of the town. In accordance with section 105.2.2 of the Cities and Town Acts, I hereby table a report on the highlights of the financial report and of the external auditor's report. It was the same report that was presented by Councillor Feeney at a previous regular meeting. And we need to now adopt the publication of this meeting. Je peux avoir quelqu'un pour proposer la mode de publication du report du maire, s'il vous plaît.
Oui, Monsieur le maire. Attendu que l'article 105.2.2 de la loi sur les cités et villes prévoit que le rapport de maire sur la situation financière soit diffusé sur le territoire de la municipalité de la manière déterminée par le conseil. En conséquence, je propose que le rapport de maire sur la situation financière de la municipalité soit publié sur le site Internet de The Informer ainsi que celui de la ville.
Merci, la conseillère Fini. Je peux voir l'appui, s'il vous plaît?
Oui, je l'appuie.
Merci, la conseillère Torres. Tout en faveur, s'il vous plaît.
Oui.
Merci. Now we'll move on to the my regular report. Good evening, everybody. Bonsoir à tous. Welcome to this regular council meeting. Bienvenue à notre réunion régulière de conseil. It was a long and arduous road until we had our collective say on Sunday the 18th, and we still have not reached the end of our journey. But this was the most important milepost along the way. We know where council stood, we know where the Yes campaign stood, we know where the No campaign stood, but now we know where the Montreal-West community stands, and it stands firmly on the side of a generational project that will define our future. The job is not finished, though. We have sent the amended bylaw to Mamash for approval, and tonight we will award the construction contract as well as the contracts for supervision and quality control. But even that's not the most important phase. Together, council, the yes, the no, we need to work together and heal the division in our community. It is now our project collectively, and we need to eliminate the rhetoric and rally this community around this center. I hope we can all count on your support. La route a été longue et ardue jusqu'à ce que nous ayons notre mot à dire le dimanche le 18 juin, et nous n'avons pas encore atteint le but de notre voyage. Mais il s'agit là de la plus importante étape de notre parcours. Nous connaissons la position du conseil, de la campagne pour le oui et de la campagne pour le non. Mais nous connaissons maintenant la position de la communauté de Montréal-Ouest, et elle se situe fermement du côté d'un projet générationnel qui définira notre avenir. Le travail n'est cependant pas terminé. Nous ayons envoyé le règlement modifié à Mamash pour approbation. Et ce soir, nous attribuerons le contrat de construction ainsi que les contrats de supervision et de contrôle de qualité. Mais ce n'est pas la phase la plus importante. Ensemble, conseil, oui et non, nous devons travailler ensemble et guérir la division dans notre communauté. Il s'agit maintenant de notre projet collectivement et nous devons éliminer la polémique et rallier cette communauté autour de ce centre. J'espère que nous pourrons compter sur votre soutien. Yesterday, we received notice from the provincial government that we will receive an additional $3.7 million towards our project. The town would like to thank the provincial government for the additional financial support. As they've been doing for the last few years, Montreal-West Town Council, the town administration, and the MNA for Notre-Dame-de-Grâce, Desiree McGraw, will continue working tirelessly to secure the largest possible share of external funding to keep the impact on residents' property taxes to a minimum. A visit of the existing facilities with Minister Isabelle Charret, Minister responsible for sports, recreation, and the outdoors, was held on June 20th, 2023. The visit with myself, M&A Desiree McGraw, and the town administration allowed her to see the state of our arena and pool and better understand our need for a new, accessible, multi-purpose, and intergenerational facility. Several of our young athletes and residents were on hand to express the enthusiasm for the new center. We thank the minister for accepting the invitation to come visit. And I think that's it. Please continue to stay safe, stay vigilant, and stay healthy. And just before I turn over the microphone to the councillors for the next questions, I just want to congratulate our councillor, Elizabeth Hewlin, who now has become a mother-in-law. So congratulations. Her daughter, Nasuna, got married a few days ago.
I will pass that on to Nasuna. Thank you.
There you go. So now we're going to move back to our, see who, I'm trying to remember who's the next one up.
I think it's Liz.
All right, and then we start with seat number 2. We'll just wait a second. There you go.
Yes, well,
Okay,
that
so
and-
reporting from seat number 2 on matters
Okay,
pertaining to
besides
public works,
becoming a mother-in-law this month.
communications, and environment. Councillor Mother-in-law Elizabeth Yolin.
Thank you very much. So this month, Public Works planted flowers around town and installed hanging flower baskets in the commercial sector. Public tree maintenance was undertaken, and the spring public tree campaign has nearly been completed. Other regular seasonal maintenance was continued with a priority on road and sidewalk repairs. This week, Public Works staff will be largely gearing up for the Canada Day festivities happening on Saturday. In order to operate with an eye on sustainability, like many other municipalities, Montreal-Ouest is now cutting the grass in public green spaces once every 2 weeks as opposed to weekly. So far, this has been a good success. In the environmental portfolio, the department and the Environmental Action Committee, or EAC, have been working on a number of initiatives and events such as the town-wide garage sale, Garage Band Fest, which was a big hit and will definitely happen again next year, and a guest speaker on recycling and composting to help divert more waste from the landfill. The EAC also went on a field trip to the recycling center in Lachine, where all Mo-West recycling goes. It was a fascinating visit, and we'll be writing about what we learned in upcoming articles. We're also hoping to organize a similar field trip for interested residents, so stay tuned for that. Et finalement, le service de communication a préparé les différentes communications relatives au nouveau centre sportif et récréatif et le référendum, et a collaboré avec les autres services sur la préparation des brochures, d'avis et d'événements. That's it for me, and I'll be happy to answer your questions during question period. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Yulin. Reporting from seat number 3 on matters pertaining to finance, recreation, and topics related to the status of an age-friendly municipality. Councillor Colleen Feeney.
So something.
Okay, so one of the
Yeah.
one of the mics is off, I think.
Apparently it's that the speaker on that side is not working because Joseph is
Oh.
in front of it.
But there's a reverb coming
We're
from a
hearing reverb.
microphone.
I think it's because it has to be made louder to compensate
Okay.
for that one.
Okay, that seems to be a bit
That's
better
a bit
on that.
better, yeah.
Well, then
Okay. Well, thank you very much, Mr. Mayor, and welcome, everybody. I'll start off my council report tonight with finance and administration. First of all, the town offices will be closed on Monday, July 3rd. Tous les bureaux de la ville seront fermés le lundi 3 juillet. The 2022 pension fund financial statements were submitted and approved by the pension pension committee members. In disbursements this month, the town spent $4,002,512, and as I usually do, I like to let you know where your money has gone. Well, most of it went down to downtown Montreal this past month. In fact, $3,738,000 of it did. Another $47,000 was spent on the sinkhole at the corner of Sherbrooke and Westminster. And in terms of other larger expenditures, not too much. Pool, as would be expected, about $20,000. Environment and trees, about $17,000. Part of that was the tree giveaway, which is about $7,000, and the ice storm damage, the trimming that had to be done from that was about another $10,000. And as usual, deductions at source and employee benefits accounted for a substantial amount, about $80,000. So that's where your money went this past month. On to recreation now. We'll start with special events because summertime is really a time of special events in this town. The summer event started off with community night in the park. Weather was not great, but residents did come out, and various groups in the town had tables with information. I want to thank Ryan of Randy's Bistro for providing the food. After that, we had a geek night and meet the camp counselors. Again, the weather wasn't great, so that one was held in the arena, but quite a few residents did turn up, and there we want to thank the Burger de Ville for providing the food. La Fête Nationale ended our June with a big bang. The weather was beautiful, and family and friends enjoyed all the entertainment and the food that was available. So thank you all. And coming up, we have a lot more things. Coming up, of course, we have this coming Saturday, July 1st, Canada Day. And the parade starts at 3:30 on Westminster and Ainslie, followed by events in Strathern Park at 4:30. And those events will include inflatable games, children's activities, a barbecue, face painting, music, dancers, and fireworks. On Tuesday, July 11th, we'll have a youth duathlon at the Hodson's Field, followed by a barbecue and swim party. And on Tuesday, July 18th, we have the best beats in town. And we ask people to register for those on Amelia, particularly musicians who want to participate in the best beats in town. Le 1er juillet, la Fête du Canada, ça commence avec le parade à 15h30 qui débute à l'intersection de Ainslie et Westminster Sud et se rend au Parc Strathern. 16h30, les célébrations débutent au Parc Strathern. We also have some events in August, and as we don't normally meet as a council at the end of July, I'll mention a few of those. Tuesday, August the 8th, we'll have music in the park with the Ensemble Daniel Bellegarde in Davies Park. Tuesday, August 15th, a corn roast and camp variety show. That one starts at 5:30. And Wednesday, August the 16th, CTV movie in the park. Or in case of rain on the 17th, and that's in Hodson's Field, and they will be showing Dungeons and Dragons. At the community center, the programs have already started. There's a choice between half-day and full-day camp, and there are still some places available. As well, adult fitness classes have started, and there's some places in some of the classes. So if you're interested, please register on Amelia. As well, there will be pop-up fitness classes throughout the summer. So make sure you are registered with the town e-bulletin to receive information on when, where, and what type of class will be offered for free. All these classes will be outside. Des cours d'entraînement en plein air gratuits ont commencé. Le type de cours variera du yoga au bootcamp ou plus haut encore. Les cours auront lieu en soirée la semaine ou en matinée la fin de semaine. Les détails des cours seront annoncés une semaine à l'avance sur le site web de la ville, la page Facebook et le e-bulletin. Aucune inscription n'est requise, mais il est possible que vous deviez apporter vos propres poids, tapis, etc. Okay, so that's an interesting new event this year. At the pool, the regular season has begun. It began on June the 26th, and we have fantastic registration in a number of our programs, a swim team, etc. We're back to our regular programming pre-COVID numbers, so that's great news. The regular season schedule is available online at the website or through the Facebook page and continues until late August before postseason scheduling begins. And we do have a few spots remaining open in the adult swim lessons, parent and taught lessons, and our new Bronze Star program. Day camp began today with over 300 kids registered. One trailer and 2 large 20 by 20 tents are installed on Hodson Field to help shelter the kids in inclement weather because the EB and its gym are not available to us this year. And the specialists this year for our day camp include basketball, yoga, team building, Champions for Life, and others. And there are still some spots available for certain age groups. So that's it. We still have a few more events for our seniors. They're coming up. There'll be an intergenerational tea party on July 12th, a trip to Ganawagi on August the 22nd, and a theatre trip to Upper Canada on August the 31st. And in closing, I'd just kind of like to expand a little bit on what the mayor had said. I want to thank so many residents for voting in the referendum and for their support of our new Sports and Recreation Centre. It will add so much to our town and will allow us to keep our sports and recreational activities together in the town and in a beautiful new accessible facility for all ages. So we have exciting times ahead. That said, I know there were some residents who were concerned, particularly as insofar as the costs go, and we did hear you. We know it's a large investment, and rest assured we are going to carefully monitor costs along the way, and we'll continue to pursue further funding efforts as we can. And as the Mayor has said, we've already had the exciting new news about the addition to our government grant, so we're hoping that's just the start of more fundraising to come. So anyway, that was an excellent start to the project. So if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask me after in the question period, or send me an email. Thank you very much. Merci.
Thank you very much. Councillor Feeney, reporting from seat number 4 on matters pertaining to urban planning, Councillor Maria Torres, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Merci à tous. Good evening. In the last month, the Urban Planning Department issued 52 permits in total. These permits included the construction of new fences, 1 swimming pool, sheds, decks, and porches and walkways. In addition, there were 12 permits for renovation. No notices or tickets were issued. During the above-mentioned period, the Planning Advisory Committee, PAC, met twice and reviewed a total of 21 files. The next PAC meeting will be held, hold on a second, I went too fast in here. Will be held on July 7th, July 5th, and then on the 9th and the 23rd of August. So to repeat, it's July 5th, then the 9th and the 23rd of August. The deadline to submit complete files to PAC is 2 weeks prior to the meeting. Les prochaines réunions du comité consultatif d'urbanisme aura lieu le 5 juillet et après le 9 et le 23 août 2023. Les dates limites pour soumettre les dossiers complets au CCU sont 2 semaines avant les réunions. Next, I would like to announce that there will be a public consultation session on Thursday, July 6th at 18 hours, 6 o'clock, at the Town Hall for the modification of the building bylaw number 2.3.3, titled Image Collection or Night Vision System. Everyone is welcome. And if you have any comments or questions about it, please drop by. Ensuite, j'aimerais annoncer qu'il y aura une séance de consultation publique le jeudi 6 juillet à 18h à l'Hôtel de Ville pour la modification des règlements de construction, le numéro 2.3.3, intitulé Collection d'images au système de vision nocturne. Tout le monde est bienvenu. Before I finish my report, I would like to remind you that if you're planning to carry out works at your property, you should always verify with the Urban Planning Department whether the project requires or not a permit. I'm finding a lot of people are asking neighbors, and every situation is different, so please contact the town for the correct information. J'aimerais vous rappeler que si vous prévoyez effectuer des travaux si vous prévoyez effectuer des travaux sur votre propriété, vous devez toujours vérifier après les services d'urbanisme si les travaux projetés nécessitent ou non ou permis, et que toutes les demandes de permis et les demandes peuvent être faites via le site web de la ville. C'est tout pour aujourd'hui. Si vous avez des questions, des commentaires, n'hésitez pas de me contacter. If you have questions or comments, please do not hesitate to contact me. Have a good summer and a safe summer, most importantly. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Torres. Reporting from seat number 1 on matters pertaining to public security, Councillor Lawrence Small-Pennefather.
Merci, Monsieur le Maire. Good evening, everybody. Welcome, everybody, this evening. The line painting for security is almost complete. Donc, la peinture des lignes pour la sécurité est presque complète. So, all the road markings is now pretty much completed. So, center lines, hashed markings on CPR crossings, and the triangles on speed bumps. We will be following up to ensure that everything conforms and the quantities billed reflect the quantities of our streets. Les travaux publics installés, les bollards pour la circulation, pour la sécurité et la circulation au travers la ville. So Public Works has installed traffic calming bollards throughout the town. Some serve to inform and remind of the rules, and some are placed in a manner as to narrow the road to incite drivers to slow down. I think we've had a few comments with regards to speed in the town, and these of course help mitigate that. We are still having issues with a few basketball nets. What that means is when people have finished playing basketball, they're still leaving the nets on the public road or on sidewalks, and it's important that when you have finished playing something on the street, whether it be hockey or basketball, that the nets are returned on your private property. Donc, c'est très important quand vous avez terminé le jeu dans les rues, soit le basket ou l'hockey, il faudra que vous retournez sur votre propriété privée. The PSOs, of course, will also be handing out some warning notices to a few properties that have not cut their grass or maintain their property to allow excessively tall weeds. The bylaw allows for a maximum height of 20 centimeters for grass or for weeds. PSOs are still checking on construction permits this month, and it's important, as Councillor Torres made a comment earlier, that it is important to ask questions before you go ahead with any kind of construction. Aussi, pour la Fête du Canada, notre sécurité est très impliquée pour la sécurité pour la Fête du Canada. So of course, our public security is very involved with Canada Day parades and making sure that we have everything planned for security detail. We have also performed a traffic study on the 200 block of Brock North based on a request that we had previously. And I just want to also take this opportunity to remind people why it's important to keep your dogs on their leashes. We received a report of a dog attack that occurred within Montreal-Ouest. There is now a provincial regulation that doctors and veterinarians are now obliged to report this. This is something that goes beyond the mandate now of municipalities, but it is a provincial law that's been in place since about 2020. Very important because a lot of people do allow their dogs to run without leashes on Percival Park specifically. I had an encounter myself where I asked somebody to please put their dog back on their leash, and I was told to go walk somewhere else with my dog that was on their leash. This is for my protection, for your protection. They are dogs. They don't always know how to react when one dog is on a leash, one dog is off a leash. So we want to avoid any kind of circumstance where somebody could be held liable, and that actually the law goes as far as euthanizing a dog if they've harmed a person or an animal. So just very important to keep that in mind, please. We, of course, are continuing to experience car thefts. An Acura RDX, as well as a GMC Yukon Denali were stolen last month. And this reminds me that I did get my own, coincidentally, tips and tricks for my own insurance company. So that involves Parking Smart. I'm sorry, I keep having my P's coming up. Parking Smart, install an aftermarket immobilizing device, install a tracking system, don't make it easy. Beware of keyless entries. So although our technology does advance, it also does make it easier now for thieves to be able to get into your vehicle. Purchase a vehicle equipped with anti-theft labels and add an alarm or a security system. So these are all measures that you can take, and although I understand it is completely frustrating, now I have had my car stolen out of my driveway as well a few years ago. We continue to work with, obviously, the SPVM, who have the authority under vehicular and criminal acts for the town, but we are wanting to make sure that residents are aware that there are some things that they can do to help prevent theft. But I know, again, it's very frustrating. We're not a gated community, and it has increased across North America. It's just not a Montreal-West issue, but it is an issue across North America, unfortunately, with the rise of vehicle thefts. And as well, I just wanted to make a reference to a number of residents who go away over vacation. Public security does provide a service if somebody is going to be away. PSOs on patrol can pay extra attention to these homes. It is highly recommended that residents going away for longer periods of time can designate someone that they trust as an emergency key holder in their home. They can be trusted neighbor, friend, or a relative living close by. In the event of emergency, public security would then be able to contact this individual if there was something that they needed to respond to that involved your home. So they do offer that service. And just a few tips as well. Ask Canada Post to hold your mail, or ask a neighbor to take it away routinely. Cancel your newspapers. Ask a neighbor or a friend to take away the Publisac and other free weekly newspapers. Ask neighbors to keep an eye out and to inform them on who may be allowed into your home during your absence. Install programmable light timers on interior and exterior lights when possible. And you can ask a neighbor to use your driveway during your absence. So these are a couple of things that you can do to make sure your property and your vehicles are as safe as they can be. And again, you can always call on public security if you have some questions, if you see something suspicious in the neighborhood. But again, if you're witnessing a criminal act, to make sure that you also report it to the SPVM. Donc, merci beaucoup.
Thank you very much, Councillor Pennefather, Small Pennefather. We're going to move on to question period now. At our first question period, we answer questions from the floor for a maximum of 25 minutes. 2 questions maximum per person, a short preamble, your first question, and a follow-up question if you have one. And I'll remind you, it's a question period, not a debate period. After questions from the floor, we will move to answer questions from residents that have been submitted online until 2 p.m. today on any topic. Same rule applies, 25 minutes total, and 2 questions per person maximum. In the second question period, towards the end of the meeting, we'll take questions only pertaining to the agenda submitted via our website during this meeting. We will limit it to 10 minutes from the floor and 10 minutes online only. So if anybody in the room has any questions, if you've submitted questions online and you want to ask your question here, I won't read the one online. So sometimes people submit online and then they come to the meeting anyway. So please step up to the microphone, state your name and your address, and ask your question, please.
Cynthia Nichols, 25 Westminster South, Montreal-West. We still have damage with the sinking of the land and everything else from the water. Can you tell me exactly what was the price on the sinkhole again? You mentioned the sinkhole and the price. What was that again?
It was $47,000 we paid.
47,000. And do we have an extent, or is it possible to find out access to information, I suppose, right?
I actually have a report. I have a report that comes, like, I have to deposit a report because it was like an emergency thing. So that comes later on in the meeting. So there is a report that gets filed tonight.
Great,
okay?
Because
you'll hear it. Yeah.
Because it's very close.
Yeah.
And God knows we've got another few starting on the street right in front of the house. Mind you, we've had the construction. They're doing a great job, by the way. That's a beautiful building. It really is. But 3 years of, man, you have no idea what I've gone through in 3 years. It's been incredible. This is a rose of friendship for Claude. Canada still believes that I'm on the election road. And I received this from the city of Montreal, but it's all in French, and I didn't quite understand what it said. I'd really appreciate it if you could read it to me, the infraction.
That you deposit that, and he can contact you with that after, ma'am.
Well, I just want to know what it says. It's in French, and it's only 4 sentences, I think.
He'll contact you after to read that, ma'am.
Do you speak French well enough, John? Too bad. That was important because I believe that is a ticket that you've given me for, I don't know, maintenance. You don't like my art. You called my art a sign and charged me $375 at one point. And anyways, that's not the point. First, I need to know what that ticket is for, and then perhaps we can discuss that.
After the meeting, he can read you the question. No problem.
That's fine.
Thank you very much. Are there any other questions from the floor? Okay, so then we'll move to the questions that were asked online. First question came from Anthony Seminara, 118 Ballantyne North. Can we get more of a police presence at the crosswalks on Westminster? I have often crossed, and the oncoming car will only see me and stop once they are midway through the crosswalk, and then stop in the middle of the road. Sometimes I also get honked at. I'm an adult, but children who are smaller and less visible are at a higher risk. Thank you. Councillor Small Pennefather, please.
Thank you for your question, Mr. Seminara. Of course, all the crosswalks that I just said in my report have been freshly repainted in the past few weeks, and that should help with some of the issues that we're having with the crosswalks. Our Community Safety Committee also is looking at improving safety along Westminster as well. And as for the police, extra police presence, We, of course, in close collaboration with Station 9, will convey your concerns, but it's also really important for citizens to also register a complaint that you can do directly with Station 9. And you can go into the PDQ9 website and you can file a complaint with the SPVM. And I do know that the community liaison officer who sits on our community safety committee does read all of them, so she will get back to you. If you need more information on how to contact the SPVM, I'd be happy to assist you with that, and you can email me at lsmall-pennefather@montreal-west.ca. Thank you for your question.
Thank you very much. Next question comes from Haeri Asiye, 75 Ballantyne North. Will there be a public update, example quarterly, on Recreation Center project, including progress on the tasks, delays, and risks and financial matters? What is the City of Montreal-West plan for traffic throughput in Brock and Ballantyne North once the train station, now under construction, is fully operational? Is there any chance those streets become two-way? So in terms of the rec center, the rec and sports center, there will be periodic updates. My guess is every month, if there's anything important to report, there will be every month there will be some kind of report on it. In terms of your second question concerning the new exit for the train station, I'm not exactly sure how that's going to affect car traffic. You seem to be referring to car traffic. It will affect pedestrian traffic because now the pedestrians are going to be routed onto the north side sidewalk rather than staying on the south side sidewalk, which should make things a lot safer to keep the pedestrians on a proper sidewalk rather than walking next to the tracks. So thank you for your question, Haeri Asiye. Next question, the same question was asked by two different people. Linda Hammerschmidt, 226 Ballantyne North, and Andre Chenier, 430 Hudson Avenue. Now that the referendum is done, what is the actual interest rate on the $32 million loan? As we were told, the same would be known after the referendum. And how much will taxpayers have to pay annually? Councillor Feeney?
Yes. Thank you very much, Linda, for your question. Well, actually, just a point of correction, the loan was not 32 million, it was 17 million for the first loan bylaw and 6 million for the other. 27 and 6, so okay, that's true. The amount for the taxpayers was going to be a $17 million loan. We do not know the amount of the loan interest yet because we will only know that when we actually go out to tenders and actually borrow the money. So that will only be known when we need the financing. Will probably be sometime next year, and we will certainly let you know. And it will be in a public meeting. We can tell you that. It will be after that I suppose we will be able to give you a better idea of the amount that's going to be for each household. The estimated 436 that was given before the referendum is going to be significantly lower now, I can tell you that. Thank you. And I see our MNA Desiree McGraw in the audience. Thank you very much for the new $3.8 million addition to our grant. So yes, we can expect it's going to be less than the 436 significantly, and we will let taxpayers know when we know the interest rate coming on that. And I think Mr. Chenier asked the same thing too, eh? Yeah, thanks.
Thank you very much, Colleen. Thank you very much for your questions. And I want to highlight, as I did in my report, the work that our MNA Desiree McGraw did to bring the minister in and help finalize the new grant that we received. Like Colleen said, it was $3.75 million. Makes the total that we've received from the two governments so far $16.3 million. And that's a significant portion, and we're not finished yet. We're still continuing to work. Next question, so thank you, Desiree. Next question comes from Harold Knowles, 256 Percival Avenue. How will the progress on the recreation center be reported, including whether or not it's on schedule, costs, loan status, unexpected findings during construction, and so on? We live beside the baseball field on Percival behind EBS. While the frequency of cutting of the grass in the field has been reduced from once a week to every 2 weeks, could it be reduced further? It could be a beautiful field of low-height clover, but it is always being cut unnecessarily. So, Mr. Knowles, the same answer I gave to the question just before, the progress as the building starts coming to fruition, we actually start construction, there will be periodic updates, whether it's every month or every 2 months, there will be periodic updates at these meetings to bring everybody up to date on where things are at with it. And for the second question, if I could ask Councillor Yulin to address it, please.
Thanks for your question, Harold. So we've been back and forth with emails on this subject, and I'm pleased to, I guess, remind you in my report as well, we have cut it down from once a week to cut the grass in the parks to once every 2 weeks. So far that's going well, and I think we're going to have to see how that goes before we make any changes to that regimen. So it's possible that next year we can do it less, but we're going to see how it goes this year with once every 2 weeks, and we'll take it from there. Thanks for your question.
Thank you very much, Councillor Yulin. Next question comes from Donna McLaughlin, 156 Ballantyne South. Tree trimming from town land is reaching my house and causing damage to our roof and allowing squirrels to nest. I have submitted 2 requests for tree trimming from town land that reaches my house. I submitted pictures, left a message at Public Works, and even spoke to Reena Patel at reception desk, who said she would follow up. I have received no acknowledgement of receipt of info, nor any kind of callback or an on-site visit. We were worried about rodents infiltration, so we called 2 tree companies for a quote, but they declined because it is town land. Councillor Yulin, please.
Sure. Thanks for your question, Donna. I did check in your location. Your tree is on the list for trimming, so I can confirm that it is on the list. I can't tell you when it will be trimmed, because frankly we do the trimming in order of necessity. Obviously the dangerous trees are trimmed first, and some of the older trees that may have issues are trimmed second, and then more aesthetic trimming would be done third. So because it's not an emergency trimming, I can't give you a precise date. You get on the list, which you are on it, and then the team works through the list as fast as they can. I can tell you that because we have a lot of people looking for trimming, we did hire, as of last year, a separate contractor to help us with this task. So we do have not only our own team going out, but we have a contractor as well. So we'll get to you. I just can't tell you when. Thanks for your question.
Thank you very much, Councillor Yulin. Next question comes from Edward Solitiano, 79 Wolseley North. When will the demolition begin for the old arena? We're going to give the contract out contingent upon getting approval from Mamasha for the loan bylaw. We will give that contract out this evening, Mr. Solitiano. So after the contract's given, then we have to have an initial meeting with the contractor to plan out the actual dates when work will commence. Our ideas were to try and save the pool season as much as possible, so I can't imagine, I could be wrong, I can't imagine work will start much before towards the end of the summer. But all that to be determined after we sit down with the contractor the first time. Thank you for your question. Next question comes from Merle McPhail, 8023 Avon Road. Not a question, but a thanks for holding a town-wide garage sale. Many people are downsizing, and by having it community-wide, it really draws the people in. I hope it will become an annual event. Councillor Yulin?
Yeah, thanks very much for your comment, Merle. That's great to hear that. We did get a lot of really good feedback about that town-wide garage sale and the band fest, so we're going to do it again next year, and hopefully it'll be bigger and better. Thanks for your comment.
Thank you very much. Next question comes from Philippe Roy, 21 Curzon Avenue. Hello, now that the rec center has passed, when will we have more information about the day camps for summer 2024? Councillor Yulin, Councillor Feeney, please.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. And thank you very much for your question, Mr. Waugh. Well, first of all, I want to say we will be having a day camp in 2024, that's for sure. We will start discussing the details in it in the fall when we discuss with our partners how things will work out, and then we will send out information to residents about it. But for sure, the day camp will be on. Thank you for your question.
Thank you very much, Councillor Feeney. Next questions come from Mark Thibodeau, 133 Brock Avenue North. In light of the closing of the outdoor pool on a very hot day due to poor air quality, would you reconsider the importance of having an indoor pool instead of an indoor arena as the piece of resistance of the new community center? And could you take the time to verify the demographic of 42% of the residents that did not vote for the referendum? Imagine if they are all extremely rich snowbirds hardly living locally. Just a thought. Trying to help so a major mistake is not done. We never thought about including an indoor pool. It's a very expensive project, and our neighbor next door has an indoor pool that we're allowed to use, and that's under capacity from what I understand. So in Côte-Saint-Luc, we're allowed to use that indoor pool. So we never actually considered an indoor pool for our town. We're actually just replacing things that we already have. And you're saying trying to verify the demographics of the people that voted not in favor of the project. We don't know. I mean, it's a secret ballot, so we don't know whether they were young or old or new to town, been here forever. We have no idea. It's a secret ballot, so I can't give you any kind of enlightened answer on that, Mr. Thibodeau. Thank you for your questions. Next questions, actually it was the same question asked by 3 people. Sydney Freeston, 113 Brock South. Natasha Lamb, 62 Ronald Drive. Talia Ralph, 11 Westland. And I actually got the same thing online now for the second question period, but I'm going to include it now too, from Selena Haikalis at 50 Westminster North, apartment 24. So can we please get porta potties at Davies and Strathern Parks? I have young children. When they have to go pee at the park, it's often off to the bushes we go. I've spoken to many parents of young children who do the same. Most municipalities have proper facilities at their large parks, example NDG, and those that do not have porta potties, example Dorval. What can we do to get the toilet opened at Davies during the day and or porta potties installed at Davies and Strathern? Councillor Feeney, please.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much for your question, Sydney and everybody else. This is the hot item for the month, I guess. So yes, during the day, just at Davies Park, I know people have gone into the community centre even when their kids aren't in programs. So if there's an urgent matter and it's during the day, during the week, that's always an option. I understand on weekends, etc., that is more of an issue. So we will look into it. We will look into it. One year we did try a porta potty, and it was not really that successful. We had a lot of vandalism, but we'll look at prices and we will discuss the matter again, and we'll let you know. Thank you very much, all of you, for your questions.
Thank you very much, Councillor Feeney. Next question comes from Roy Hoffman, 133 Percival Avenue. No question, just a big thank you for all your hard work to date on the new recreation center. Thank you very much for your comment, Mr. Hoffman. Next question from Harold Rosenberg, 203 Ballantyne North. I would like to know a detail about the project manager cost for the proposed new arena. Has the money for the manager's salary already been included as part of the project's total cost, or is it a separate expense? Mr. Rosenberg, it is already included in the budget, in that $39.2 million overall budget, so it's already included in there. Thank you for your question. Next question comes from Laura Cousineau, 239 Percival Avenue. I was wondering what can be done regarding the trash issue in Strathern Park. It is very busy, particularly during the summer months when the campers, and there is always litter on the ground. The issue of even greater concern is that it doesn't get picked up before mowing and simply gets shredded into smaller bits of plastic. These get embedded in the grass or washed down the sewers. There are ample bins, so perhaps signage reminding people to take care of their trash would be helpful. Camp counselors should be responsible for the kids picking up after themselves. Thanks. Councillor Yulin, please.
Yeah, so I'll start this and then pass it on to Colleen Feeney for recreation. We can look at that. You mentioned in your question that there are ample bins. We can look at signage possibly. My feeling is during the summer, it may well have a lot to do with campers that are using that area and maybe not picking up after lunch. But I'll speak to the Director of Public Works about it and see if there's anything we can do on our end. And then maybe Colleen can speak to the camp issue. Thanks for your question, Laura.
Actually, I will pass along your question to the Recreation Department and ask them to remind the councillors to encourage children to be good citizens and pick up after themselves in the parks. So thank you for your question, Laura.
Thank you very much. Next question from Paul Kenton, 70 Brock North. There were reports in mid-March that soil contamination in the vicinity of the arena had leaked onto CP rail property, and that CP had sent a formal letter asking the town to clean it up. If this is true, how much will the decontamination cost? Over the years, a number of residents have asked that the priority list of road infrastructural renewal be published, most recently at the February or March council meeting. Council always promises to post the list, it doesn't, but it never appears. Will council commit to publishing the list? Councillor Yulin, please.
Sure, thanks for your question, Paul. So we discussed it at caucus before this meeting, and none of us here had heard of the the issue of contamination leaking onto the CP rail property. So I'm not sure what that is, but we don't, at our end, we never received any kind of a letter about cleaning up or anything. So I'm going to assume that was a rumor or something that happened elsewhere. In terms of providing the list of streets that are going to be redone over the next few years, we haven't done that principally because these streets change all the time. Anytime we do an inspection of the pipes underneath, the infrastructure underneath, which allows us to get grants for these projects, we get varying answers depending on what's going on underneath the streets. So we've been reticent to do that. We can always talk about it again on council, but it's not something that we're likely to do in the near future, just because what happens in that case is people think their street is going to get done next year, and then we do the evaluation again, and it turns out that street isn't going to get done for another 3 years, and people are upset and angry about that. So we tend to just announce when we know streets are going to get redone. We announce it at that time only. Thanks very much for your question.
Thank you very much, Councillor Yulin. Next question from Naomi Goloff, 457 Westminster North. Please restart the discussion about speeding on Westminster Avenue North, as well as adding safe sidewalks, either a sidewalk or protected walking area, to the short area with no sidewalks to enable pedestrians to walk safely and legally. This is a question of everyone's safety. My cat ran out of the house and was killed a few weeks ago by a driver going too fast, but no one is safe walking there. We need to address this as soon as possible for the safety of everyone. Councillor Small-Pennefather, please.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Hi, Naomi. Thank you for your question. And we did have a discussion, and I'm very sorry for the loss of your cat in such a tragic way. I know it's very traumatic for you and your family to have lost your cat in such a terrible way. We did discuss looking at potentially what it would take to include a sidewalk on the right of way toward the houses between Radcliffe and Westover. There was something, I guess there was a study about 15 years ago that looked at how adding a sidewalk there would be possible. And you know that there are some hydro poles and some mature trees that we'd have to look at. This is also something we're bringing to the Community Safety Committee. And we'll continue to look at the possibility to add a sidewalk to that portion of the road. But we do know, of course, over the, it's not 15 years ago, it's, fast forward to today, and we know that Westminster is used quite frequently, and we want to make sure that our residents and pedestrians are safe. So we'll see what we can do in that area, Naomi, and I will get back to you once we have a resolution. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Small-Pennefather. Next question comes from Deborah Alpers, who's already asked this question, but I'll repeat it again. 132 Sheraton Drive. Could we please have a dog park in Rugby Park? The current park is over 1 mile from residents on the north side of the city. Councillor Small-Pennefather.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mayor, and of course, I'll repeat part of my commentary from my report previously, but we had, over a course of several years, had discussed where would be the most appropriate place for the dog park, and as you know, it's right next to Town Hall, and that took a number of years in consultations, and unfortunately, we just don't have the adequate space to add another dog park, and this is coming from someone who does have 2 dogs, so I understand your concerns. And just to let you know that I did consult with councillors in Notre-Dame-de-Grâce. They have about 70,000 residents with over more than 1,000 permits for dogs. We have under 300 in Montreal-West. They have land that they're able to allocate towards dog parks. And again, you have to have a certain size that's safe so that dogs can exist together in a space. So that's why we are not able to add another park at this time. So I just want to remind everybody again that, of course, we have access to the permanent dog park next to Town Hall. And everybody knows that during the winter seasons, we do add an additional dog park at Hodgkins Field. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Small-Pennefather. Next question from Kate Braley for Councillor Small-Pennefather again. Introduction of traffic calming measures on Westminster. It is a primary thoroughfare for our town and neighboring communities. The 30 kilometers per hour is insufficient as people regularly speed. I have had many instances of people tailgating and honking at me when driving the speed limit. Can we look at installing speed bumps between Sherbrooke and Côte-Saint-Luc Road?
That's an excellent question. Thank you. So Right now, there is a 30 kilometer per hour is the lowest speed limit that a municipality can impose. There was a pilot project with 20 kilometers per hour in streets in certain mixed pedestrian and commercial areas, but for the moment, it's 30 kilometers per hour and the lowest we can legally impose. And of course, your question with regards to speed bumps has to do with safety on Westminster. So of course, we have STM buses that don't have seat belts, so that's the reason, part of the reason why we're not allowed to have speed bumps. And another is for emergency vehicles as well. When emergency vehicles are going, fire trucks, ambulance, police, unfortunately it's gonna cause an issue with the speed bumps, but I do take your point as well, and it actually pertains to some of the questions we've had earlier about speed in the town and speeds particularly on Westminster. And we're continuing to look at how we can increase safety along Westminster at some of the crosswalks, for instance, and then also just raising awareness and having SPVM presence as well as our PSOs. Thank you very much for your question.
Thank you very much, Councillor Small-Pennefather. Next question from Peter Cooney, 101 Brock South. I wondered why cars without permits park on both sides of Avon between Brock South and the City of Montreal border sign and never get tickets. I asked one of our security men and he said as far as he knows, it's a Montreal street and not a Montreal-West street. Strange to know that we pay taxes on this part of Avon. Since you have not painted the narrowing lines and put poles up like in the past, more cars are parking overnight. Just for your information. Councillor Small-Pennefather, please.
Okay, thank you again, Mr. Mayor, and thank you for the question. In terms of my earlier report, we did mention that we were painting lines, so if that was missed, we'll look into why the lines were not painted, and we will make sure our public security know the exact limits of the town. That being said, PSOs do actually issue overnight tickets on Avon regularly. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Small-Pennefather. La dernière question, ça vient de Camille Nakache, 7 Ballantyne Sud. Bonjour, vous avez reçu 3,7 millions supplémentaires du Québec pour le projet de l'Arena. L'empreinte bancaire sera maintenant de 3 millions seulement. Est-ce que c'est exact? S'il vous plaît, continuez d'obtenir de financement supplémentaire afin de réduire au minimum, voire nul, l'empreinte projetée pour le projet de la nouvelle Arena, d'une nouvelle Arena. Merci. Malheureusement, non, c'est pas seulement que ça réduit l'empreinte bancaire à 3 millions. Non, ce n'est pas le cas. L'empreinte maximale reste à 33 millions, mais ça dépend le montant que nous avons besoin de emprunter pour continuer le projet. Et maintenant, avec l'argent que nous avons reçu dernièrement de le gouvernement, l'additionnel, ça doit réduire le montant que nous avons besoin de financer autour de 13 millions. Mais comme je dis, on travaille toujours pour essayer de continuer à réduire ce montant. Alors, merci pour votre question. So that's the end of question period for now, and we're going to go back to our... Just, yeah, thank you. Yeah.
With all of the talk that was discussed here about the arena and everything else, I'm just wondering, I have never ever in the 30-something years seen the chairs divided in such a way. I hope this is not commentary. And where are the people? Is that a reflection of what happened? Because they're not here. Those who oppose. I pray to God that these divisions just don't go on.
And that's kind of the report. What I said in my report, that the divisions between the town have to disappear, and the chairs have always been divided this way.
No,
yeah.
They haven't. They've always been.
No, there's always an alley in the middle and set chairs on both sides.
I know that.
Yeah.
But look at the difference.
I couldn't tell you anything other than that, but you're right.
It's divided quite.
But you're absolutely right. Our job right now is to heal those divisions.
Job to notice these things.
Thank you. Contrat et le greffe, règlement de la gestion contractuelle, le rapport annuel. Conformément à l'alinéa 7 de l'article 573.3.1.2 de la loi sur les cités et villes, un rapport de greffier est déposé résumant les points principaux relatifs à l'application du règlement de gestion contractuelle pour l'année 2021. Administration and Finances, approval of disbursements for May 27th to June 23, 2023.
Yes, Mr. Mayor. I move that the list of accounts payable from May 27th to June 23rd, 2023, totaling $512.80 be approved and paid as listed.
Thank you very much. Councillor Feeney, je peux avoir l'appui, s'il vous plaît. Can I have a seconder, please?
Yes, I second the motion, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you very much. All in favor, please.
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Délégation de pouvoir pour le mois de juin 2023.
Oui, Monsieur le maire, je propose d'approuver, d'approuver les rapports de la directrice générale concernant l'exercice de pouvoir délégué en vertu du règlement numéro 2005-002 pour le mois de juin 2023.
Merci, la conseillère Yulin. Je peux avoir l'appui, s'il vous plaît.
Oui, je l'appuie.
Merci, la conseillère Feeney. Tout en faveur, s'il vous plaît.
Oui.
Oui.
Merci. Urban Department, Site Planning Projects and Architectural Integration Program, SPAIP.
I move to acknowledge receipt of the minutes of a meeting held by the Planning Advisory Committee, PAC, on June 21st, 2023. To approve as presented under the SPAIP the following plans submitted to this meeting in accordance with the recommendations of the PAC as outlined in the minutes. 7678 Roxton, replacement of 8 windows. 49 Nelson, replacement of basement window and closing of 1 opening. 147 Strather North, construction of an extension on the 2nd floor above the existing ground floor extension in the back. Replacement of cladding, fascia, soffits, front railing and the main building, on the main building. And replacing of cladding, closing of 2 openings. And the installation of a window on a detached garage. To approve with conditions under the SPIP the following plans submitted to this meeting in accordance with the recommendations of the PAC as outlined in the minutes. 2 Easton, replacement of 21 windows, the front door, the main entrance canopy and front stairs, a regular door and a patio door. 229 Sheraton, replacement of 16 windows and a door.
Thank you very much. Councillor Torres, can I have a seconder, please?
I second the motion, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you very much. Councillor Small-Pennefather, all in favor, please.
Aye.
Thank you very much. We now have 4 minor exemption requests. I'm going to ask Councillor Torres just to give a quick resume of the 4, and then we'll move each one and approve each one.
Very good. Thank you. First of all, I'd like to tell that that all these minor exemptions have been advertised in the newspapers and no comments were received since the publication. So let's move to the first one, the minor exemption, 95 Easton. The owner of the property requested a minor exemption because he is building an extension back of his house and he wanted to change the slope of the roof and the material used as cladding. And PAC have recommended these changes. And 19 Banstead is the owner have requested a minor exemption because he wants to normalize the rear setback. It's not the same?
No, you missed this one.
Oh, the first one. Okay. So I'll finish with the 16 Banstead and 19 Banstead. I believe this is for real estate transaction. Then we have 451 Brock North. This also was a house that they did extensive renovation a few years ago, and he wants to sell, the owner wants to sell the house, but there was a difference on some of one of the setbacks. I lost my track on my on my telephone, so I'll go here. And the very last one is 231 Wolseley North. And the owner also wants to apply for a minor exemption because he wants to normalize the lateral setbacks. And this is for also a real estate transaction.
Thank you very much, Councillor Torres. So if we can move them one at a time, please.
Yes.
We'll start with 451 Brock North.
Yeah, that's right. I'm here. Okay, so I move that the plans and requests submitted to the May 24, 2023 meeting of the Planning Advisory Committee be approved in accordance with bylaws 2020-002 and G 18-0005 for the following minor exemption. from the schedule of uses and standards in effect under section 3.2.2 of the zoning bylaw regarding the movable located at 451 Brook North in zone RA-1. 2, normalize the front setback of the main building extension, which is of 43.34 meters, instead of a minimum of 4.57 meters required in that zone. The consequence being to reduce this requirement by 0.23 meter.
Thank you very much. Councillor Torres, can I have a seconder?
I second the motion, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you very much. Councillor Small Pennefather, all in favor, please.
Aye.
Thank you very much. Minor exemption request at 95 Easton.
I move that the plans and requests submitted to the May 24th, 2023 meeting of the Planning Advisory Committee be approved in accordance with bylaws 2020-002 and G-18-0005 for the following minor exemptions from section 3.3.8 and paragraphs 3 and 4 of the first indent of section 3.3.2 of the zoning bylaw as allowed in the second subparagraph of paragraph 1 of the second indent of the same section 3.3.2 regarding the immovable located at 95 Easton in zone RB-7 to allow the construction of a rear extension of the main building with a roof having a slope inferior to a minimum of 312 in that zone, the consequence being to disregard this requirement, to allow the use of cladding materials beyond the existing proportion of the exterior surface of the main building, the consequence being that this proportion will rise from 32% to 38%, therefore an increase of 6%.
Thank you very much. Councillor Small Pennefather, can I have a seconder, please?
I second it.
All in favor, please.
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Minor exemption request 19 Banstead.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I move that the plans and requests submitted to the June 7th, 2023 meeting of the Planning Advisory Committee be approved in accordance with bylaws 2020-002 and G18-0005 for the following minor exemption from the Schedule of Uses and Standards in effect under section 3.2.2 of the zoning bylaw regarding the immovable located at 19 Banstead in zone RA3 to normalize the rear setback of the main building, which is of 6.05 meters instead of the minimum 6.1 meters in that zone, the consequence being to reduce this requirement by 0.5 meters.
Thank you very much. Councillor Feeney, can I have a seconder, please?
I second that.
Thank you very much. Councillor Yulin, all in favor, please.
Aye.
Thank you. I'm just doing the math. It was 6.05 meters instead of 6.01. That's to reduce the requirement by 0.05 meters. Unless one of those other numbers was
That's
wrong.
true. Yes.
Yeah, that's right.
That should be 0.05, yeah.
Minor exemption request 231 Wolseley North.
Yes, I move that the plans and requests submitted to the June 7th, 2023 meeting of the Planning Advisory Committee be approved in accordance with bylaws 2020-002 and G18-0005 for the following minor exemption from paragraph 8 of section 4.1.10 of the zoning bylaw regarding the immovable located at 231 Wolseley North in zone RB-2 to normalize the lateral setback of the closed gallery in the front yard, which is 1.2 meters instead of the minimum 2 meters, the consequence being to reduce this requirement by 0.8 meters.
Thank you very much. Councillor Yulin, can I have a seconder, please?
Yes, I second it.
Thank you very much. Councillor Torres, all in favor, please.
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much. Emergency repairs, Sherbrooke and Westminster. I hereby report that on April 18th, 2023, a sinkhole was noted on Sherbrooke at Westminster. It was later found out that the sewer had collapsed. Manorex, a company that specializes in water and sewer repairs in urban environments, was contacted and on April 20th made a service offer for $19,330.78 before taxes to repair the sewer and the water leak. This was approved by the interim Director General. After the sewer was successfully repaired, Manorex started excavation for the repair of the water main break. At this point, other issues came up. An abandoned water valve chamber in Brick, which made it necessary to call in a vacuum truck for excavation due to the proximity of Bell conduits. The water leak was not where it had been marked initially by the leak detection, and it was needed to excavate more on the other side of the bell massif. The water leak was right beside the wall of the brick chamber and under the bell massif, requiring more excavation and more work and preparation. Since this was an emergency situation, I was advised by the interim director general authorizing the award of this contract on April 26 in accordance with section 573.2 of the Cities and Town Act. The total invoiced amount was $41,335.53 before taxes. Okay, so that's the report I needed to give. Demolition and reconstruction work on the Sports and Recreation Center. Now, the next three contracts we're giving are all given, but with the proviso that the loan bylaw is approved by the Minister of Municipal Affairs. So for the first one is for the actual the demolition and reconstruction work for the Sports and Recreation Center.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Whereas the Town of Montreal-West issued a public call for tenders for the purpose of the demolition and reconstruction project of the Sports and Recreation Center, whereas 15 copies of the tender documents were ordered and 4 bids were received and analyzed by Bluen Tardif Co-Architecture to verify their conformity. Therefore, I move that the contract for the demolition and resolution of the reconstruction of the Sports and Recreation Center be awarded to Sajo Incorporated, being the lowest conforming bidder, that is, for a total price of $33,224,000 before taxes, conditional upon the following paragraph. 2, that the expenditure be charged to the loan bylaw number 2023-001 as amended in bylaw number 2023-003 and subject to the approval of the latter by the Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing. And third, that the mayor and the town clerk be authorized to sign any documents required to implement this resolution, as the case may be.
Thank you very much, Councillor Yulin. Can I have a seconder, please?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I second that.
Thank you very much, Councillor Feeney. All in favor, please.
Aye.
Thank you very much. Hiring of a project manager for the Sports and Recreation Center. Now, I want to make it clear for the next 2 contracts, both of them came in on budget. So neither of them went over the budget either. Hiring of a project manager, Sports and Recreation Center.
Yes, Mr. Mayor. Whereas the Town of Montreal-West issued a public call for tenders for the purpose of hiring a professional firm to manage the demolition and reconstruction project of the Sports and Recreation Center. Whereas 17 copies of the tender document were ordered and 6 bids were received, which were evaluated by a committee on the qualitative level before its members could take the element of price into consideration. Whereas 4 of them were also evaluated on this element as a result of the process, which was conducted in accordance with the applicable legislation. Therefore, I move, first, that the contract for professional services of project manager within the scope of the demolition and reconstruction of the Sports and Recreation Center be awarded to SEMA Plus, being the bidder that obtained the highest final score for a price of $307,980, excluding taxes, conditional upon the following paragraph. 2, that this expenditure be charged to a loan bylaw number 2023-001 as amended in loan bylaw 2023-003, subject to approval of the latter by the Ministry of Municipal Affairs and Housing. And third, that the mayor and the town clerk be authorized to sign any contract and other documents required to implement this resolution, as the case may be.
Thank you very much. Councillor Feeney, can I have a seconder, please?
Yes, I second that.
Thank you very much. Councillor Yulin, all in favor, please.
Aye.
Thank you. Qualitative control of materials, Sports and Recreation Center.
Whereas the Town of Montreal-West issued a public call for tenders to hire a professional firm that will provide laboratory services for the purpose of the demolition and reconstruction project of the Sports and Recreation Center, whereas 6 copies of the tender documents were ordered and 1 bid was received, which was evaluated by the committee of the qualitative level before its member could take the element of price into consideration, whereas this element was also evaluated as a result of the process, which was conducted in accordance with the applicable legislation. Therefore, I move that the contract for the professional services of qualitative control of materials within the scope of the demolition and reconstruction of the Sports and Recreation Center be awarded to FNX-INNOV Inc., being the bidder that obtained the highest final score for a price of $116,250.60, excluding taxes, conditional upon the following paragraph: that this expenditure be charged to loan by law number 2023-001 as amended in by law number 2023-003, subject to approval of the letter by the Minister of Municipal Affairs and Housing. And last, that the mayor and the town clerk be authorized to sign any contract and other documents required to implement this resolution as the case might be.
Thank you very much, Councillor Torres. Can I have a seconder, please?
I second the motion, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you very much, Councillor Small-Pennefather. All in favor, please. Thank you very much. Next resolution is concerning the REM work, a request to CDPQ Infra Incorporated. This is not something Montreal-West, unfortunately, we're not benefiting so much directly from the new REM work that's coming, the new REM that's coming into service fairly soon. But one of our neighboring towns, TMR, is, and they're having some issues asking CDPQ to implement some noise abatement situations. So they're asking our support via a motion to ask them to ask CDPQ Infra to have a proper discussion and implement some measures to help attenuate the problems that TMR is going to be facing.
Considering the deployment of the Réseau Express Métropolitain, REM, on the island of Montreal, considering that based on the current proposed developments, the negative impacts of noise and visual pollution will be significant for the immediate vicinity of the REM's activities, equipment, and facilities. Considering that since the beginning of the REM project, several municipalities on the island of Montreal, where the REM facilities will be built, have been concerned about the noise and visual pollution caused by this project and its future activities. Considering that there is reason to express concern in this regard and to ask the promoter, CDPQ Infra, to take concrete action in order to reduce as much as possible the negative impacts already foreseeable along the entire route of the REM. I move that 1, the town of Montreal-West support the town of Montréal, Mount Royal, as well as all other municipalities on the island of Montreal where REM installations are planned in order to ensure the peace of mind and quality of life of the residents. 2, that the town support their efforts with CDPQ Infra to obtain the design and implementation of all concrete measures required to reduce the negative noise and visual impacts that will be caused by the REM along the entire length of the network. 3, that a copy of this resolution to CDPQ Infra, as well as the Minister of Transport and the Minister responsible for the Montreal region, to the Mayor of the City of Montreal, and to all the municipalities linked to the Montreal agglomeration.
Thank you very much, Councillor Small-Pennefather. Can I have a seconder, please?
Second that?
Thank you very much, Councillor Yulin. All in favor, please.
Aye.
Thank you very much. Ressources humaines, nomination permanente d'un mécanicien.
Oui, Monsieur le maire, je propose que Monsieur Michael Amato soit nommé mécanicien permanent classe 16 à compter du 1er juillet 2023.
J'apprécie ça. Merci, merci la conseillère Yulin. Je peux voir l'appui, s'il vous plaît.
Oui, je l'appuie.
Merci la conseillère Fini. Tout en faveur, s'il vous plaît.
Oui.
Oui.
Parfait. Désignation du maire suppléant. Les dernières personnes ayant occupé le poste de maire suppléant, commençant par le plus récent titulaire, sont Elizabeth Yulin, Lauren Small-Pennefather, Colleen Feeney et Maria Torres. Alors, on va continuer la rotation et ça sera conseillère Torres. Je peux voir quelqu'un pour proposer ça, s'il vous plaît.
Oui, Monsieur le maire. Je propose que la conseillère Maria Torres soit nommée à titre de maire suppléant pour les mois d'août, septembre, octobre et novembre 2023. Et deuxièmement, que la conseillère Maria Torres soit aussi désignée pour remplacer au besoin Monsieur le maire Benny Massala au conseil d'agglomération et qu'une copie certifiée de la présente résolution soit transmise à ce propos, si nécessaire, au conseil d'agglomération Et troisièmement, que cette nomination prenne effet le 1er août 2023.
Merci, la conseillère Fini. Je peux avoir l'appui, s'il vous plaît.
Oui, je l'appuie, Monsieur le maire.
Merci, la conseillère Small-Pennefather. Tout en faveur, s'il vous plaît.
Oui.
Parfait, merci. A statement was filed with council summing up the results of the referendum that took place on June 18th, 2023, concerning bylaw 2023-003 that amends loan bylaw 2023-001 to complete the financing for the construction of a new sports and recreation center. 2,165 qualified voters showed up. 5 ballot papers were rejected. 1,240 votes were cast in favor of the affirmative answer and 920 in favor of the negative answer. So that's it in terms of that. We're going to move on to our second question period now. Second question period, if you have, has to pertain to what was on the agenda. If there are any, I haven't received any online. So if there are none from the floor, we'll move to close the meeting, please.
Oui, Monsieur le maire, je propose de lever la séance.
Merci, la conseillère Small-Pennefather. Je peux avoir l'appui, s'il vous plaît.
Je l'appuie.
Merci, la conseillère Torres.